Good day and welcome once more to another session of the Niger U Drive data training. It's a pleasure to have you all on board. A very big thank you to our sponsors, RHS Nigeria, as well as the implementers of the program, OVL Foundation and Kratos Sustainability Consult Limited. My name is Abayomi Okunola and I'm joining from NESA 84 Labs. Happy New Month, everyone. Wish you the very best of it. Okay, so moving on, the last time we took a look at Python, we discussed what is data analysis and how. So permit us to just do a quick recap. So in the first class, we took a look at introduction, okay, to Python for data analysis. And we talked about variables and data types, control structures, and we'll be moving on to data structures today, as well as explore functions, file handling, the NumPy, and Pandas library. Okay, in case if you have any question, you can always put it in the chat box. That is if you are unwilling to unmute your mic. However, if there is need for us to quickly resolve an issue, please, you can unmute your mic and ensure your background is cool, okay? Then you can speak. Okay, so I would love to hear feedback from maybe one or two persons, what we gained in the last class before I proceed on with the recap. So you can just raise your hand, proceed to unmute the mic, tell us your name, where you're joining us from, and what you've gained so far. Hello. Someone should please unmute and so I can confirm I'm not the only one here.
Good evening. We can hear you. But I'm just joining for the first time.
All right. Your name, please.
Adeyemi Peter Tayo from Asaba.
Okay. All right. Thank you, David, for joining the session. It's going to be a very great one. Okay. So anyone who was in the last class, at least I can point out about one or two names of those who were in the last class. I believe you should be able to mention one or two things that you gained, even if it's brief.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Precious.
From the last class, when we discussed introduction to Python for data analysis, we defined what data analysis is, and then we went further to talk about variables and data types. We said data analysis is the process of analyzing, that's gathering, cleaning, modeling data types into what data is saying, so as you can make informed decisions and probably predictions as well. And then we talked about variables, and we said variables are placeholders that have values. Example, age, name, date of birth, and the rest of them. So variables are usually the field names for our tables. Then we talked about data types. We talked about the string, date and time, whole number data types, Boolean value, true or false data types. And then we did for loop and if else statements, that's conditional statements.
All right. That's a very good one, Precious.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, I can see Dan and raised up. Over to you, Dan.
Okay, cool. Well, from everything I got from the last class, okay, let's just start. According to what you said, though, from what I understand, Python is a high-level, versatile, and beginner-friendly programming language. It's known for its easy-to-read syntax, making it great for both beginners and professionals. What you can do with Python: build websites, automate tasks, analyze data and build machine learning models, create games and applications, develop AI system. While for the basics of Python, these are: one, we have variables in Python. Variables that they store data values, and you don't need to declare a type. Python figures automatically. Name is a string, age is an integer, height is a float, and school is a boolean. While for two, we have printing outputs. Have I said much? So let's say that's enough for now.
All right, thank you very much, Dan. I must confess you've been working with programming a little while before now, right? Maybe you had
Yes.
a knowledge or two. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Precious and Daniel. You guys are on point. Okay, so a brief recap now. Introduction to Python for data analysis. So we mentioned that we have variables and data types, and someone defined a variable for us, such as a container. You know, your container box, you use it to store some things, right? Such that the time you need to move that particular item, all you just need to do is just carry the container around. So for variables as well, the same applies. So age here in the first instance here is our container, the box you see, while the item that is inside it is 20, which you mentioned. The data type here is an integer, whole numbers. Then for string, your object or your text, you have it in this form. You say name equals to Frederick. However, you need to put it in quotes such that the programming language will recognize it as a string. You can see when we said age equals to 30 and we had to put it in quotes, it has been converted to a string here. So even as you go further, you can always cast your values maybe from integer down to float. That will be as you proceed, okay? But for the basics of the class that we are still exploring, this is a string, while this one here is an integer. And we mentioned about comments. We said comments are simple lines of code that explains what you are writing, okay? Then we said we have the single line comments, such that once you comment your code, they do not need to wake you up to come and say, oh yeah, come and explain what you have here. Even with the comment, once you are trying to review your code, you can go ahead, you can proceed with much more fine-tuning. Okay, so we have the single line, we have the multi-line. So the multi-line, you need to quote it here. You can see we have like 3 apostrophes here at the top and at the bottom. Then your text will be embedded in the quotes. So this is a multi-line comment. So instead of me to be having the single line comment for like 3 times here, all I just need to do is just enclose everything in this quote here. Okay, so this is an example of a single line comment, as you can see here, and then you have the multi-line comment up here. All right, so when you want to print in Python, you can, since this is a Jupyter notebook, so this would actually print it for you. And I mentioned, I welcomed us to the interface of Google Colab as well. So for instance, if I want to run this cell now, this is a code cell, and then we have the text cell. Let me over up here. You can see I have code and text. So the text is used for formatting. It's an actual Markdown language. You can use your Markdown language for the formatting. And then the code cell is when you run your cell codes and it goes through. So if I want to run this cell now, all I just need to do is just click on this play button here. It's going to run into memory. So let's go down, says initializing Python. It has successfully run. So if I should bring up another code cell and say what is stored in age here, then I play again, you can see age is 20. Okay, So let's proceed. So coming down to numeric data type, okay, we have integer or float. So here we have our integer as what? Whole number. Then we have the float as the one that has the full stop, your decimal number. Okay, then for Boolean values we said true or false. Thereafter we moved on to control structures, if, else, and elif statements, where we mentioned that you have a scenario where you need to buy biscuits. If the price is 100 naira, else you buy something else. If the money is not sufficient, then we said the first thing you need to do first is declare your variable. And we declared our price, and we said, okay, let's write an if statement. We said if price is equals to 100, you have a column here, you say print biscuit. So here you need to be wary of your arithmetic operators and your logical operators as well. Okay, you have I'm sure we all know the arithmetic operators like addition, right? Someone should please confirm if they can hear me. Hello?
Like suppression.
Yes, subtraction. Okay. I can't hear you
Multiplication.
clearly.
Can hear you. BODMAS.
Okay, BODMAS. That's cool. Okay, so the basics of BODMAS as well is applicable here as well. Okay, addition, subtraction, multiplication. Oh, sorry. I'm representing this suite. We have a division. Okay, then we also have, how many of us have come in contact with a modulus or modulo? Okay, but not to worry. So, and then we know our logical operators equal to, right? Hello, can someone confirm this?
Very well.
Hello. I'm sure we know greater than, right? We have less than, right? So this are all the stuffs we need to learn that will surely make use of even as we go forward. Okay. All right. So moving forward, we said write an if statement such that we have a scenario here. We said the scenario is to buy biscuits. Let me move this up. So we said our scenario we want to paint is, say, buy biscuits if the price is 100 naira, else buy Zobo. Okay. Yeah, we said if price is equal to 100, then print biscuits. So let me run this. Now, can someone explain to me what happened here? Hello. We're actually learning together, okay?
So you are giving a code that if price is equals to 100 naira, you should print biscuit. So you are trying to tell the code that if the person's price is 100 naira, you should bring out a particular product that is equals to that 100 naira, which is the biscuit.
Okay. So I've actually run this code. However, I got an error. You can see here I have a name error. And it says name price is not defined. Okay. Name price is not defined. That means this price here that I declared here, I've not run it to memory. So one thing you need to note is that when it comes to programming language, it's stepwise. Okay, you need to have kept something in memory before you now call it. So if I should run this cell now, then I run this again, you would see that it successfully ran. Okay, so this teaches us that when we are working on programming, we need to ensure that we run the top first before we go to the one at the bottom. Okay. All right, moving forward, we said we want to have our if and else statements. That is, if you don't find this, if you don't meet this condition, proceed to this other condition. Okay. So here we said we declare the variable, we called it the price of the item is 17 naira. If the price is equal to 100 naira, it should give us biscuit. Else, it should give us what? Zobo. Let me run this. So what do we have? We have Zobo. Then we have the if, else, and else if statement, such that you now have like 4 different options. If you don't find this, do this. If you don't find this, do this. If you don't find any of the 3 conditions, then you finally give us this. So here we said, oh, the Sobo we are selling in the store is 50 naira. Our biscuit is 100 naira. Our bread is 200. And we said, okay, our price is 10 naira that we declared here. If price is equals to 100, tell us that you have biscuits. Else, if price is 50 naira, give us Zobo. If price is 200, give us bread. Otherwise, give us chin chin. Okay, so running this code now, it gave us chin chin because 10 naira is not equal to 50 naira, is not equal to 100 naira, is not equal to 200. However, if I should change this to, say, let me change it to 200 now and run this code, can you see that it gave me what? It gave me bread. Hope that's clear. Please, I need feedback so we can journey so fast. Okay. All right, Dan, I can see you raised your hand. Is that to say we can proceed?
I don't want to answer any question. Yes, we can proceed.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so now we want to move on to for loops. For loops. All right, so when it comes to Python programming, programming is actually available to make life easier. Okay, to make your processes much more faster. So instead of you to start repeating the same thing time and time over and over and over again, all you need to just implement is a for loop. So a for loop is used to iterate over a sequence. It might be in form of your list, your tuple, your range, even your dictionary, string, or anything you have, and it executes that process, what you actually want. It executes it multiple times, depending on the number of items in your sequence. Okay, so I mentioned here that, okay, we want to print Nigeria. We want to print the words in Nigeria one after the other, I mean, in this country. So here, the manual way is for me to say print N, print I, print G, down to A, in which if I run this, it's going to print it one after the other. Okay, so please note, if you want to print to screen in Python, you use the print statement, print, and then you have your bracket, your curly braces, and then if it's a string, you put it in it. Okay, so say for instance, I want to print country now. Recall I've already run this to memory. I would say print, I'll open my bracket and say country because I want to print a variable. So running this now, you can see gave me what? Nigeria. Okay, to print to screen in Python. Okay. All right. So now we want to see what the how we use the for loop. I mentioned that we use the for loop to iterate over a variable. Okay. So here we have our variable, and then we have our variable, which is our iterator. So now I said, oh, I have country as Nigeria. Okay, let me say slash city now. So now I said, oh, I want you to print the letters in this string because I mentioned the for loop and list, strange, range, dictionary, and many more. So I will say variable, which is variable letter in my iterator, which is on print letter. So you can see what it gave me Nigeria slash FCT. So it had to pick it one after the other. Pick the first one, wrote it, went again, checked through this, printed the second one, went through it again until the end of the loop. Okay. Now moving on, we said, okay, we want to print for states. So in most cases, you might decide to shorten the variable. You can use anything you want, might be letter, might be I, might be K, might be J, depending on what you are declaring. So yeah, I decided to declare I for my variable. For I in state, which is for variable I in iterator state, print my variable. And I got this. Okay. So then we move on to data structures. Okay. So please give me about 2 minutes. Please hold on. And while we're waiting, let's just prepare our questions. Okay. All right, thank you for holding. Okay, Dan, you have a question.
Yes. So you just explained a for loop. Yeah. So
Okay.
I wanted to ask, how many types of loops do we have?
Okay, how many types of loop do we have?
Yeah.
Okay, so for this class, we'll be working with for loops. Okay. Or do you have
They're
another
not
loop?
just one loops.
Yes, we have for loop. There's also the while loop as well. But we'll be working majorly with for loop because the while loop, that one will also go through and work with your block of code, create the repeat as much as possible, as long as the condition is met. But there are some whereby, I'm sure as a programmer, there are some that will just keep running and running and running. So we don't be looking into that for now. Just take a look at for loop for the scope of this class. We have for loop and while loop. Okay. Is that clear, Chief?
Yes, thank you.
All right, well, we can always do a brief on that as well. So let's do a brief on while loop then. Okay, so while loop. All right, so as the name implies for loop and then while loop, so just as we did for our for loop, we actually add to what? Declare a variable. All right, so let me say, let's do a count now. Let's do a while loop for, say, wanted to print a count of numbers where the numbers is actually 5 or 10. So let the starting point start from 0. Okay, then you say while your count, recall, while your count is less than 10. Okay, what do you want it to do? You want it to print your count. That's the first item you get, and then it should now proceed to give you your count equals to your count plus 1. Let's run this and see what it gives. Okay, so here, this is a while loop here. I said starting from 0. So far, this my count value is less than 10. I want you to print out that value. And furthermore, I want you to increment it such that until this while loop is met, that is when you should stop. So here right now, you can see that it gave us 0 at the first run. Then we have 0, which is the original value, equals to 0 plus 1. We have 1 next. Then 1, it came up and took 1. 1 plus 1 gave 2. And it continued that way until it found out that what it's less than 10. So for this class, we wouldn't be delving more into the while loop. Okay, because so for while loop, you can also support it with the break and continue functions such as to enhance it. So, but for the scope of this class, let's just stop here. And even for this one as well, you can modify it further and say count, where's my plus, equals 1. So let me run this as well. So what I have here is still the same thing as what I have here. Okay, but not to confuse you, we'll possibly, if we move on further, we'll explain this, but just leave it this way. Okay. All right, so hope that's clear, Daniel. Marvelous, any question?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Marvelous, any question? All right, so I wouldn't want the class to be one-sided. Okay, oh, sorry. Some persons are saying they are able to access the link. Sir?
Can I ask a question, or rather, I don't know, ask something?
Okay,
like...
please hold on. I'm trying to look through the group chat. Some persons said they are unable to access the link. Well, let me, I don't know what to say about this. Let me tell them to just change their network provider. Do change your ISP. Okay, over to you, Dan.
I don't know if by chance you could like write a while loop that keeps asking the user to enter their name like until they quit. Like I want to like see an example of how it's done.
All right, so we still have a lot to cover. So maybe that might be extras, okay? Not now. So you can just remind me, okay?
Okay.
All right. So moving on to list. What is a list? So for instance, you need to hold many variables, you want to have them in a particular room. Let me use that for instance as a case study. Okay, so all you need to use is a list. So a list is you just having a singular item. Okay, now let's say we have okay, I asked the question the last time that we have how many local government do we have in Delta State? How many local government do we have?
25.
Sir?
44.
44 in Delta State.
25.
25. Delta State LG is equals to 25. Okay, so can we mention part of this LG is?
Ugele North.
Please help me with spelling.
We have
UG
Anyocha North. We have Anyocha South. We have Oshimle North. We have
Ugele
Oshimle.
North.
There's Ugele North.
Onisha, right?
Anyocha is ANIOC.
Onitsha is not local government. Onitsha is let's say a place in Anambra.
Mention the local
not in
governments. All right, thank you.
Warri South.
Warri South.
Anyocha, right?
Yes, Anyocha. You have Anyocha North and Anyocha South.
How about Warri North and Warri South?
There is.
They have.
Okay, so we have Anyocha North, Anyocha South,
Oshimle North and Oshimle South.
Okay, so let me just pause with about 5 local governments here, so we can always fill up later on. Warri, this will be North. Okay, so here now, how do we write the list? First, you can see I have my square brackets here. Then I have my string, which are my text, separated by a comma, one after the other, right? So for list, you have it as a square bracket. Then you have what you want to embed in them. So this one now shows your list of your LGAs. Let me put it, list of 5 LGAs in Delta State. All right, so when it comes to list, you can also have a list of numbers. Okay, so let's represent this LGA underscore number equals to, you can have this as list of numbers will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is a list. So if I should run this now and say, okay, print my print LGAs. Let me run it. You can see it returned a list. Okay. Hello. Hello.
All right.
You can hear you.
All right, thank you. So if I should print for, sorry, Python is case sensitive. Print LGA underscore num now is going to return a list of numbers for me. You can see the list here. So even as well, you can decide to have a combination of both your numeric and your string, thus making it alphanumeric. Okay, so let me say mixed list equals to, let me just copy a few values here, and oops, and bring it in here. Let me say 1, 2, 3, 4. And let me close this brackets. So if I should run this, say print mixed list, you can see. So I have, this is now a list containing numbers and text all together. So I recall I mentioned earlier on that we can actually implement our for loop such that it prints out the variables one after the other for us. So for instance, now, if I want to see what I have here, I want it to be printed one after the other, what I have in this mixed list, I would say for, let me call it item in mixed underscore list. Then I'll press my enter. So on pressing this enter, you can either press your enter or you press tab, or you have 4 spaces to your right. Okay. Then I'll say print what? Print item. So this is iterating through a list now. So you can see it returned Ughelli North, Aniocha North, Aniocha South, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Are we getting there?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I can see that it's only 2 persons that have been responding. Let's check with others. Favor. All right, you can proceed, John. Hello.
My question is, when you put the command prompt to that sequence, you are using to mix.
The background is kind of noisy. The person speaking presently, is it John or Anthony that is speaking? Let's know. Tell us your name.
John is speaking. Sorry, sir.
Okay, John. Okay.
So I was saying that.
All right, John.
Yeah, are you with me? I was saying the command prompt you gave that it should mix the alphabet. Is it breaking?
I didn't get that clearly. You said the command line should make the alphabets. I didn't get that.
I said the command prompt you gave is that it should mix the alphabet and the numbers as to become alphanumeric.
Yes, I wrote this alphanumeric list earlier, like a combination of numbers and text. I was the one that wrote it earlier on. Yeah. So I now said, I want to use my for loop to check out what I have inside it.
Okay. Is that you have programmed this particular language on it before, or is that the language you understand?
I already programmed that, okay, I want to have a list of numbers. Okay, just like you're writing attendance now. I have a list of many persons now. So I want you to start giving me one after the other. That was where I had to use this for loop here.
Okay. So I was that when you understand your language mix, it's as if he has a selected language.
No. For variable, okay. So for variable, you can define anything as your variable. So for instance, I can say, my list now. Okay. Then I run this to memory. Let me just change it so you can see that it's not about, is what you define as the variable that is going to return to you. So you can see my list here. So if I should change this one as well to my list and I run it, so it still gives me. So variable is different. So it's what you declare as your variable that you proceed with to work with. Okay.
Okay, sir. My second question is that this source code that we are writing here, is there any place for the source code to appear as the object code since we are saying print in that same command?
I didn't get that clearly. Can you please shed light?
I say we are using all these source codes to give our algorithm. Is there any place that it will appear where we command print as the object code of our language we are using on these platforms?
Okay, so in Python, when you want to review your results to screen, you use the print function.
Yes,
so you say print, then the item you want to print. So for instance, if I should say print my list now, then I run it. So you can see, gave me this my list. Because we are in a Jupyter Notebook environment,
okay.
you can as well say,
I was not in first class.
okay.
Okay.
All right, so you can as well say my list
Yes.
now, then you run this. So you can see print my list. This is the Pythonic way. This is the Python standard. Okay, to print to screen. But if you are working in a Jupyter Notebook environment, you can as well just call the variable name only, and then it will give you. But this is the approved standard for printing to screen in Python.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, I think Anthony was about mentioning earlier on, asking a question. Anthony? Oh, Dan. Dan, you can proceed. I already called your name.
Okay. So I wanted to ask a question relating to the list stuff you just explained or rather talk about.
Okay.
So list as a stack. Can you explain
Okay.
how it is used in Python?
How it is used in Python?
Yeah.
All right. So for list, like I mentioned, it's just like you having a container where you use it to store your variables. So based on the work you do, even as we proceed, you would see the applications. Okay. So let's not push ahead before we get there, depending on what you're actually doing. So here we are considering list for data analysis. So for instance, you can use a list to store your headers, your column headers right now. So there are a whole lot. Even on this list, you are still going to look at list manipulation shortly, what you can do to your list, how you can add more items to an existing list, delete, even list indexing and list slicing as well. Okay. Does that suffice?
It does.
Okay, so anyone else with a question? Okay, so let's move on. We need to fire on right now. Okay, so list is well understood now. Just as a container, you can have it as numeric or alphanumeric. Okay, so now let's say, for instance, we have our list here, which is my list ending at 4. And we need to add another item to the list. It's not possible for us to go back and say, oh, let me go and edit that my existing list. Then you now come back to the base here and say you want to start working. Okay, it's just like a student that is being admitted to school, right? When they say they've closed Porter for 2015, when they come again the next year, they keep adding the matric number as it goes through. Okay, so how do you proceed with that? Now, to add another item to a list. How do you proceed with that? You call my list dot append. Okay, so you can see it says on my list dot append. What object do I want to append now? All right, so can someone tell us what we need to append now? Let's say we want to append sir?
I said, is
Someone mentioned
matriculation
something
number
now.
viable?
Matriculation number or something.
Matriculation
Okay.
number.
Okay, let's say you want to append matric number now. It can be anything that you are storing on your list. Recall my list here is stopping at 4 earlier on, so I want to append matric number to it right now. And now let me say print my list. Okay, then I run this. Can you see what I have? I have Gili North, Aniocha, North Aniocha South, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then matric number. Okay. So let's try and add one more item to the list. So this way, we are already manipulating the list. Okay. We are already manipulating the list this way. Sorry for the glitch. So we have my list dot append. So let's append another item now. What else can we append? Hello. I need to ensure we are also following as well. So if I do not get any feedback, I might just keep pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah.
So I need to understand that we are in class as well. That's why I'm expecting the feedback from us. Okay. But we say there's no need for me to check. I just keep pushing. Department. All right. Thank you. So let's say department. Okay. So let's print our list now. So you can see now it has added another new value to it. Here we have what? Department added. Okay. All right. So now we've seen how to add an item to a list. So now I want us to see what we can do concerning, for instance, if you need only this particular value, maybe Ugeli not only, you need to call it out. How do you get to do that? So that's what I want us to check right now. That is called list indexing. Okay, so when it comes to list indexing, your index in Python, in programming, starts from the number 0. You know, when you are doing your count, you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. However, in Python, it starts from the number 0, such that 0, 1, 2, 3. That is how we count in programming. I hope someone got that.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we say we want to check for this particular item, Ugeli not here, it is standing on number 0. Aniocha North is number 1. Aniocha South is number 2. 1 is number 3, and so forth. Okay, so now let me say I want to call Ugeli North only. I'll call my list and I'll say open my square bracket and say index number 0. Okay, when I run this, I get Ugeli North. If I should say, okay, I want to call Aniocha South. Okay, recall that Aniocha South is what? 0, 1, 2. Then I'll say number 2. Can you see I have what? Aniocha South. Recall, like I mentioned, when it comes to list indexing, it starts from 0. That is, when you're counting from your left to your right. Let me put it in brackets here. Say left to right. And then the other way around, let me comment this. Count starts from 0 left to right, and then the count, or not count now, the index, let me call it index. Then we also have, if you want to do reverse, that starts from -1. That's if you want to move from your right hand to your left hand. So right to left. So let me demonstrate that to you right now. Here we have Ughelli North as 0, Aniocha North as 1, and then Aniocha South as 2, which you've already seen here. Now, if I want to check on this department now, that would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. True or not true?
True.
My list, then I will say number 8. Now, it gave me department. That is this first one I just used. I mean, using the index from 0 upwards. However, if I want to get this department as well, another way I can call it is I'll just say my list, and then I would say -1. Then I'll run it. Then I have what? Department. So did you get what I just explained here? When you are moving from your right to left, it starts from -1. And if you are moving from left to right, it starts from 0. Okay, so if you want to do manipulation, you can see how a list is very, very what? Effective right now. All right. So can someone tell me, if we want to access matric number, what can we use to access it?
My list, my list -2.
Okay, my list. Tell us your name, please.
Adeyemi Peter.
Adeyemi Peter, excellent. So you can see my list and -2. And the other way around would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be number 7. Another way is you say, or my list and 7. My list and 7. Okay. So now, I already mentioned about using for loop earlier, right? So let's write a for loop on this. For I in my list, I want you to print I. I have this, right? So now, when it comes to list as well, recall we're actually working with what? With seeing, we picked the first letter here. I mean, we picked the first variable using my list 0, my list 2, my list 1, and all. So if we now want to index using for loop now, for instance, we want to see the very first item in this list. So I can say for I in my list, okay, print I and then value 0. Okay, so if I should run this now, this is saying integer object is not subscriptable. All right, so that means it's because it's an integer. let me check for a list that we did. Okay, let me do list LGAs then. That is already in memory. So we can iterate over this and bring it out. So recall that LGAs here, this is the list of LGAs. We have Ughelli North, Aniocha North, Aniocha South, Warri South, Warri North. So here I'm trying to say, okay, print, do a for loop such that it will return my I, which is Ughelli, and then it's going to give me the first value in this item here, that it will pick U, A, W, W. So if I should say I want to see the second word in this particular word right now, in this particular Ughelli North, all I'll just do is let me bring this up and say for I, and say if I want to see the second letter, which is okay, let me do the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do 4 then. I think they all kind of look alike. So yeah, for the fourth one now, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The first one is L. It went through Aniocha. The fourth one is, the fourth index is C. Here as well is C. Here the fourth one is what? I. So you can see part of how we make use of a list. All right, so moving forward, we'll take a look at the second one, which is a dictionary. All right, so here in a dictionary, we have what we call the, if you want to write your dictionary, you use curly braces. And these curly braces consist of what we call a key and its value. It consists of a key and its value. So how do you apply this? For instance, if you want to create a data set, you can make use of dictionary to create that. When we proceed further to that stage, you get to learn more. Okay, so for Python dictionaries, you create them using your curly braces. So for instance, we want to have details about a person right now. You know, a person, their details will include their name, their address, their phone number, their age, and many more. So we make use of what? A dictionary. Okay, so let's create a sample now and say,
Please come again for that dictionary.
okay, so for a dictionary, I said if you want to write it, it will be in the format of curly braces like I have here. And there you'd have what we call embedded in it, you have a key, and then you have a value. So I would also show you instances whereby we incorporate dictionary and list together. So let's say details of a man right now. Let's say, okay, let's talk about details of a state now. So we say delta info, right, equals to, let's call our curly braces. So I have to open the bracket here. So let's say state is what? Delta, right? So you have your comma.
Yes, sir.
Then we have a capital as what?
Asaba.
All right.
Asaba.
Asaba. Excellent. Then you have your comma. Then you can say number of LGAs now. You can say
25.
LGAs. LGAs here will be 25. What other thing again would you love us to know about Delta State? Eh? You guys should talk now.
Numbers of mega
Numbers
mega
of
region. Mega region.
okay. Number of mega region. Okay. So why am I using this? Number of mega region is how many?
7.
7. Okay, what other thing again would you love us to know? Okay, let's just close it for now. So I already have my curly braces at the end here. Okay. So this is it here at the bottom. You can decide to bring it closer to it, either ways as you wish. Let me just bring it to the end here. So now let me print delta underscore info. Now you can see what I have. I have a dictionary. So if I want to access, recall I mentioned that dictionary has key and it has what? Value. So if I should call delta info, right, dot keys. Look at what it's gonna give me. So you say the keys to the dictionary include state, capital, LGAs, and number of mega region. Now if I should say, oh, delta info, okay, I want to see what is inside. Sorry. I want to see what is embedded in capital here. I'll call delta info. I'll create my list and say, okay, what do we have here? Can you see what we returned? It said Asaba, because
Asaba.
Capital is a key to what? To this value. Is it clear?
Yes, yes.
Clear, sir.
All right. Okay, thank you. So if I should say, okay, I want to see what I have in my state now, all I just need to do is I would relate with the key. Now, just like you accessing a room right now, you need the key to enter. And I'll say delta info state, right? Where is state? Then I'll run it. I have delta. So now, in the case where I want to say, oh, we're no longer talking about delta state, we need to modify it. Maybe there was an error or delta is not correctly spelled. We need to change it. Or okay, now let's say, okay, state is correct, capital is correct. However, the number of mega regions has actually increased. How do we get to change it? So let's say to edit or modify, to modify a value in a dictionary, what do we do? Now we say, oh, number of mega region has increased, though we need to what? We need to go and also update it on our database. First thing first, you call your delta info and then you relate with what? With the key, which is a number of mega region. Now, I'm sure going for expansion, it has increased from 10 to what? Sorry, from 7 to like say 10. Okay. Now, I'll run this to memory. Now, let me now print my delta info now. Let me run this. Can we see what we have now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Compared to what we had earlier, because now we've gone ahead to modify it. So as you proceed, you begin to see the beauty and the usefulness of all these codes. Actually, there is a lot to do, excuse me, with the code. Okay. Now, even when, like, I mentioned earlier on that when it comes to students, okay. Now, let's take, for instance, we want to create a dictionary. We want to incorporate a list with a dictionary right now. How do you get to do that? Anyone?
Please come again. You said.
Hello?
You said.
I
Oh, please
said
come again.
in case, okay. So I said in case we want to have many values, we want to incorporate a list to a dictionary. How do we get to do that?
Okay, so for the first thing, you need to determine the names of the menu, in a sense, the details of a menu. You understand? So if you're naming the menu, this thing, if it's let's say menu underscore food, you now have, it will now be equals to your curly bracket. Then let's say we have eba. No, let's say we have swallow. Under the swallow, you now put your semicolon, you now have eba. Then under that eba, we have we can have what's it called? Amala. You can have pandenium. Are you getting it?
All right.
So
yes.
So when we now have now, we will now need to input it into the dictionary that will now give us what's it called? The swallow, which is the eba. We'll now input delta eba. No, swallow underscore
Okay.
food. We'll now
All right.
give
Okay.
license.
So let's proceed now. Because earlier on
Should I stop? I should continue.
So this is the key and this is the value. So in case if you want to see what is actually up in the dictionary itself, you see I have my keys and values here. So now let's take a look at delta info dot items. Okay, this is going to print out the dictionary for us. The items you can see, state is the one holding delta, capital is the one holding Asaba, LJ is the one holding 25, number of mega region is the one holding 10. Okay. Hello.
Hi.
All right. So now we can actually convert, we can actually cast this right now to a list. Okay, recall here we are having dict underscore items. So if I want to cast this now, to cast to a list, all I just need to do is just call list, and I'll say delta info dot items. Now you can see what I have now. I'm no longer having this dict underscore items again. I'm now having what? A list. Okay. Is that clear? So I've shown us how to manipulate our list, right? So maybe when we get to a further stage, I'll show us how we can actually come up with a data set that is incorporating dictionaries and lists together. Okay, so I guess we far gone ahead. Any questions? Okay, so before we push on, let me show us a tuple. So what is a tuple? A tuple is used to store a non-immutable value or object. Okay, so for instance, you can manipulate your list, but for your tuple, you're unable to do that. So an example of a tuple, let me say tuple underscore example. Apparently, we wouldn't be making use of it really much in this quotes, but it's good you have knowledge about it. You make use of more of dictionaries. Okay, so this is a tuple. Its own kind of bracket is the round bracket. Okay, aside from tuple, we also have sets as well. So let me print our tuple example. You can say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So tuple is non-immutable. Okay, so one thing about tuple in Python is that you are unable to change it. Like I mentioned, don't change it. It's just one thing and one thing. So for instance, now you've already allocated, say, Delta Province 1. You've assigned it to, say, Aniocha North. That's it. You wouldn't be able to change it. Okay. Apparently, you can have duplicates in it. Okay, but you can't change it, just like we're changing our what is it called, our list. Okay, all right, so moving on, you can also access the elements in your tuple just like the same way we did for list as well. Okay, just like we did list indexing. Okay, so can someone tell me how we can, if we want to access number 5 here, what do we do? Let me bring this out. Then you come up with your indexing. That is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me slice by 4. So in this tuple now, I want to see item value value 5. I had to pick up with what? Index number 4. Okay. So how many of us remember sets? So let me just show us set example. Set is also another thing, but we don't dwell much. Sets, let me show us a set example. You know, back then in secondary school, they said A union B, B intersect C, they intersect E, and as much as you wish. So for a set, all you need to use is your dictionary. I mean, your curly braces, right? Rather now. So this one doesn't have a key and value, just like how you do your normal set in mathematics. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as much as you wish. Okay. So if I should say, okay, print my set example, and you run it, so you can see I have my set here, my set of numbers. So you can proceed to study more on this. Okay. So now let's check. So far, we've been able to take a look at variables and data types, control structures, data structures, part of which we looked at loops, dictionaries, tuple sets. So now let's go to functions. What are functions? Can someone tell me what they understand by the term function? Hello? Can someone tell us what they understand by functions? Oh, Dan, over to you.
Okay. Function is a reusable block of code that performs a specific task. Instead of writing the same code again and again, you define it once in a function and call it whenever you need it.
All right, thank you very much for that definition. Okay, so a function is, as explained, is a reusable line of code. So say for instance now, you want to welcome people, okay, or you want to welcome individuals to a certain place. Instead of you saying, good morning, Hade, welcome to this event. Good morning, Daniel, welcome to this event. Good morning, Sheyi, welcome to this event. Good morning, that way you can just write a function and say, okay, once you see this person's name, that is what you just give them good morning, insert the person's name, and then you greet them. So you don't need to start coding it one after the other. That would really take a lot from you. Okay. All right. So going on, a function is a reusable line of code. Let's write. All right. So Daniel, a function is a what? Reusable block of code. Let me use block. Sorry.
Should I repeat the definition? Or?
Yes, repeat the definition. We're working together.
Okay. A function is a reusable block of code that performs a specific task. Instead of writing the same code again and again, you define it once in a function and call it whenever you need it.
Okay. That performs a specific task and you call it whenever, excuse me, whenever you need it in your code. Okay, let me just brief it this way. All right, so to write a function, how do we get started? There's a keyword for it. It starts with the keyword def. That means you want to define a function. So let's say we want to define a function greet now. So this function greet is going to take in a variable. Okay, so let's say our name is our variable now. Then I would say go to the end, I'll create my column, and I would say print. Let me use string formatting now. I want to do string formatting. Hello name, right? And I would say welcome to class. All right. So now this is my function for each and every one that comes to my class. Maybe they went to, how many of us have seen this access points before, whereby once you just clock your card, you tell you, oh, welcome so person, welcome so person. So it's a function that is doing that work. Even if you have 10,000 of person come around, so far it's picking the record from the database, it will return a message in this format. So I said, oh, I've defined my function greet as, I say you're gonna take in the variable name, and then you print hello so person, welcome to class. Let me run this to memory now. So now if I want to, here is define a function. So for this one, I want to say, okay, declare my variable now, or let me say not declare now, call function. So if I want to call this function now, I would say greet. Then I have my string, which is, let me call Daniel now. So once I run this, can you see what he gave me? He said, "What? Hello, Daniel. Welcome to class." Oh, we got it. Hello. Let me call another person here. Let me call Precious. Let me greet Precious. Precious, are you on board? Precious, are you on board? We can't hear you. We are unable to hear Precious. Okay, let me greet John. I think John was the first person to come to class. Okay, so greet John. He says, "Hello, John. Welcome to class." So the function is a reusable block of code that you have in your cell, that you have on your program. Okay, so when for your function now, it can have many parameters. So for instance, here now, let's create another one now. Let's say def. That is, I want to define a function now. So let's create one that takes like 2 parameters. Okay, let's say function welcome. It's gonna take your name and then your region, right? And then we would say, okay, print or return. In most cases, when you are coding, you might not need to use the print, just use the return version. Okay, so would say print. Let me do string formatting now. So we'll say hello, name, welcome to this class. You are from so region. You are from region and let me close this now. So let me run this to memory. When I say welcome and I say your name is Daniel, and then I have say region Warri 10.
One.
Let's run this. Sir? Hello? I thought someone made a question. So now, here we have, hello Daniel, welcome to this class. You are from region Warri 10. Please, who is speaking? Dan, got a question? Please just unmute and just ask your question, because I'm unable to be checking the charts, navigating to and fro. Or you mistakenly raised up the hand. Okay, so believer, let me do a roll call now. Let me check those who are active on the call. Hello, John, are you there? Anthony,
Yes, sir.
if you can hear me, please respond. Okay, thank you, John. Anthony, Dan is responding well. Ogene, Precious on the call. Thank you for reacting. Marvelous, Favor, Fiel, and Peter.
Parent.
All right. Okay, so we've been able to take a look at functions and how to format your functions. Okay, so you can format your functions as much as you wish. Recall I mentioned that what you have the function starting with DEF. Okay, and even you can even proceed with it and use it to perform various things. So for instance, let's say we want to perform multiplication right now. Okay, so let's say we want to perform arithmetic operation. Create a function that sums up two values, right? So let's say def what? Def add numbers. Just trying to define my function name. Def add numbers, I would say, okay, add my values are A and then B. Okay, you go to the end, you say, I want you to return a value such that A will be what? Plus B, right? I would say return, sorry, I would say return the value. The return statement is al importante. So let me run this to memory. Let me have a new code cell, and I would say, okay, I have my values AB as, let's say, 5 and 6. What result do I have? You can see I have what? 11. Is that not beautiful? Isn't that fantastic? Yellow.
Hi.
All right, thank you. Okay, so you can see how I also implemented this in checking out for addition. You can also proceed with multiplication. So you want to do for multiplication now, say, oh, create a function that multiplies numbers. Def multiply num. Tell it to multiply C and D. Right? Give me a value, which is now C multiplied by D, and I'll tell it to return value. So let me call multiply num, and then I say my 3 and 4. Let me run this. You see I have what? I have 12. Okay, so these are part of the ways you call function. So it's highly important you write comments so that when next you are going through your code, you'll be able to see what you have. Okay, so moving on now, I want to show us about our file handling before we proceed on. So when it comes to file handling, that's actually cool and easy. File handling. So If you want to write to a file, say for instance, you have a text, you want to create a text file, you want to write to it, write to file, you would start with the with function. With function, you say, I want you to create a file, open. You can call it data.txt. Okay? Before you call it data.txt, I want you to take a look at this. It says open and return a stream. So open, you first of all call the file name, what you want to give the file. Then the mode, here you have R. R means what? Read a text. Other common values are W for writing a file, and X for creating and writing to a new file, and A for appending, depending on the system you're using. So the read mode here is being discussed here. T, text mode, plus open a DIX file for updating. W, open for writing, truncating the first file. X, create a new file and open it for writing. Okay, depending. So you can also read through the documentation to see how you can use it. So yeah, I want to say, okay, open a file. I want to use X now. I want you to create a new file. I would say data.txt, and my mode is what? I said I want to use X this time around, right? And then I'll call it, I'll give it an alias, which is as F. I would say f.write. Let me say, I want you to write, say, hello to Daniel, Precious, and John. Okay, so that's what I want to write to my file now. Let me run this. Now this has run to memory. Let me open this file explorer. You can see I have my data.txt here. It says it was created when August 1st at 8:43 p.m. August 1st, 2025. If I should open this now, let me open it. Let me close this. Can you see what I have here? What I wrote here is say hello to Daniel, Precious, and John. So what I wrote here is what I actually have here in the text file. So for instance, if I want to read from this particular file now, what I have here, how do I do that? Read from file. I would say with open, I'll call my file name, which is data.txt. Recall the read mode we saw earlier on. If you want to read, you use what? R. So you put it in as embedded. You would also give it as an alias. You can decide to use any alias of your choice. And I would say content equals to f.read. Okay. Then I can go ahead and say, okay, print my contents now. What is inside that text file? Okay. So you can see what I have in my text file, txt file, is say hello to Daniel, Precious, and John. So that was what you just read right now. So if I should change this to say hello to Daniel, Precious, I think I saw Anthony earlier on. If I should run this now, here it says file already exists because of the mode I'm using. X is for you to create a new file and write to it. So let me use W now. It's going to overwrite it. You can see W overwrote it. And if I should read it now, you can see what I just wrote to text. So let me close this. We open this text. You can see it has updated because I'm now using what W. So X is for you if you want to create a new file and write to it. And if you are using W, that means you want it to what? Clear everything that is in that file and then add this new value to it. All right, anyone has a question? Okay, I guess we can proceed right now. Okay, so that is all about file handling. So do we have anyone with questions? Anyone with questions? Peter Adeyemi.
I'm good. But the thing is,
Okay.
when you were doing this file handling, my network had issues, so I logged out. So I didn't get
Oops.
what you actually did there.
Okay, so for file handling is if you want to read from file, that is what we are trying to do. If you want to read from file and then you want to write to a file, that's what we're doing on file handling. So let me
Okay.
share my screen. So yeah, for file handling, we said if you want to write to a file, you say with open, I gave it a file name, and then I said I want it to write mode. I give it an alias. I said write this, write hello Peter, Daniel, Anthony, and John. Let me include Peter as well. I'll run it. Then if I want to read what is inside it, that file that I wrote, you can see Anthony, Peter, and John. So however, when I come to the file explorer here and I open this data.txt, it's still the same thing that I have on my screen here that I have here. Hello Daniel, Precious, Anthony, Peter, and John. So that's the core basics on the file handling. Hope that's cool.
Yes.
All right. Okay, now so we'll be moving on to numerical Python. Okay, so we've taken a look at variables, control structures, data structures, functions, file handling. We're exploring the NumPy and Pandas library. Okay, so has anyone worked with a Python module before now? Hello.
No, I have not though.
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right. Where is Daniel? Has Daniel dropped off the call? Okay. All right. So when it comes to NumPy, NumPy is a modular package in Python. So what are modules and packages? What are libraries? They are Python scripts that consist of certain functionalities, and you use them for specific purpose. Okay. So how do you go about this? So for numerical Python was wanted to root. Numerical Python, also known as NumPy library in Python. Okay, so I mentioned that a modular package are actually created for us to work. So how do we get these modules and scripts to perform certain functionalities for us? So first thing we need to do is we need to first of all install them as a package. Okay. So steps to use packages in Python. Number one, you need to install them. And then step 2 is to what? Import the package. And then step 3 is that you what? You perform the task. So let me edit this packages. Let me convert this to Markdown. Let me take this to Markdown so you can easily relate with it. Packages or modules. All right, so recall I mentioned about numerical Python as a package. How do we get to use it? So first thing first, let's even take a look at what is this NumPy. Please confirm if you can see my screen. Please confirm if you can see my screen. Hello.
Hi.
Okay.
What also?
Thank you. Is it that we are cool to call it an evening, or let me just know if our energy level is dropping so we can wrap up and pick up from here?
Law of diminishing return.
Law of diminishing return.
So we are okay. We are here. We are online now. Listening. Reading up.
Sorry, we are online now. We did.
Let's all vote. Is the law of diminishing return happening already?
Sorry, sir. I'm having issues with this real-time test that is always pumping up, reducing the screen. I'm trying to take it off. It's not going off.
Real-time guests.
It's real-time test.
Real-time test. Maybe it might be an issue on your device, so you might need to troubleshoot that. Okay. All right, so let's push on for NumPy. All right, so like I mentioned, we've got NumPy here as a package, as a library that we use. Okay, so what is NumPy itself? So NumPy is a package that you use for your scientific computing. Okay, so it helps you to do so many things. You can use it for vectorization, indexing, broadcasting, for your mathematical computations, random number generator, linear algebra, Fourier transform, and all. And one thing about NumPy is that it is open source. That is, it is developed and maintained publicly on GitHub. All right. So by a handful of developers across the globe. You as well can also be part of those developing it. And NumPy is very, very easy to use. You can see NumPy's high-level syntax makes it accessible and productive for programmers from any background or experience level. So this is an instance. It says the standard way to import NumPy is import NumPy as NP. Then you can begin to use it for various operations. Okay. All right, so how do we get to import NumPy? How do we get to do that? Let me see. Let's come to installation. So over here at the installation, you said installing NumPy. Are you working in a project-based environment? Do you want to build from source? So let me check with environment-based. So I can scroll down. It says, if you want to make use of pip, let's use pip. So I would say pip install my NumPy. So let me come back to my Jupyter notebook. Oh, sorry. Let me pick that. Pip install NumPy. For this, I'll just give a percentage sign and I'll run it. So this way I'm performing the first operation, which is install NumPy. Okay. So here now it says the requirement is already satisfied. That is, this library, this package called NumPy has already been installed on my computer. Now, how do I get to check the version? Okay. Now, next thing here, it says import the package. So here I would say import NumPy. Right? So I'll run it. That means I've imported NumPy to memory. However, there is a way such that it can make your work easier and faster is by giving it an alias. So an alias is just like a short name. You know, for instance, most of us are bearing say let me take my name for example. Now I have Abayomi Okunola. I can say I am what? A-O. Okay, so that's my initial. So instead of you to be calling me Abayomi Okunola, you can just say A-O. Right. So, and the standard way for NumPy is you call it import NumPy as NP, and you run it to memory. Okay. Then, if you now want to start making use of it, then you can proceed further. So let's take the version now. Say import NumPy as NP, and NP dot underscore version underscore. So you can see here it says it has 2.0.2 installed already. Here we have 2.0.2 returned to us as well. Okay. All right. So when it comes to NumPy, we can perform things we can cast our list as arrays. Okay. Arrays. All right. So let's have a list of numbers right now. Let's have a list and call value list. We have a list of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like I said, I have 667 and 78. No issues about that. So recall that this is a Python list, right? Then I want to have another one I want to cast as an array now in NumPy. So I would call that, let me say AB equals to np.array. Okay, then I'll call this. So here right now, I want to perform what we call a NumPy array. So let me just copy the same values I have in my list here and just bring it in here. And I would want to specify the data type here as well. The D type equals to numpy. I want to make it a floating point number, say float 64. Let me run this. So now let's print value list. Can you see what you gave me? Then I would say print my numpy array now, which is AB. All right, so can someone tell us the difference they saw here? Hello.
The Python is separated with comma, while the NumPy, I think I'm seeing one dot.
All right, so thank you. So for list, you still have your commas in place. And then for your array now, array of numbers, you can see, because I had to cast this one as a floating number, that is, it will be a decimal place number. That's why you have what? This full stop, all here. So for instance, now I want to check how many items are in here right now, or what's the item size. I can say, oh, calculate what's the length. I can say length of value list. Length of value list is what? Is 8. And then if I want to say what's the type of my value list, he said it's a list. And then the type of my AB is a what? Is a numpy nd array. Recall I mentioned this one is a list, and then here I'm trying to check the type. So let me put a comment here to check the type. That's what we have here. All right, so now moving on, we've got two-dimensional arrays. Okay, we have arrays, we have two-dimensional arrays, two-dimensional array. So how do these two-dimensional arrays come into place? We have, let's say we have our y variable, we have our list of lists here now. So you'd say 1, 2, that is 1. You would say 3, 4, put in another comma, then you have a 5, 6. Okay, so here I have my y as a what? As a list of lists. However, I want to convert it to an array now. Let me even first run it and say type of y is what? You can see you said type of y is a list. However, I want to cast it, I want to convert it to an array. All I'll just say is let me call x equals to numpy np.array, and then I'll say what? Y. Okay, then I'll print my x. Now can you see what I have now? Earlier on I was having a list, but now I'm having what? I'm having an array. Okay, so how do you get to check for the properties of your array? Array properties check. So for instance, I have my x, which is an array. If I say x dot shape, now what is it going to return? He said I have a 3 by 2 array. That is, I have 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, and then I have 2 columns. Okay, so that's the first one. So Yeah, let me show you how it is. It will return the number of row and then the number of what? Of column. That was what we got here. So now, what's the size? Which is gonna be x dot size. What's the size of our array? It says it contains what? 6 items. Okay. All right. So moving on, there's also what we call the you want to initialize an array with zeros. Okay, so how do you get to do that? Let's say we want to have an array A. Let me make a comment. Initialize arrays. So we'll say we have A equals to np.zeros. That is, we want to have an array containing 3 zeros only. Let's say 4 by 2. Okay, then I would say print my A. It says numpy has no attributes, zeros. Oh, sorry, typo error. I have row 1, row 2, row 3, and then row 4. And then I have my column 1 and column 2 containing only zeros. Okay, so if I also want to have initialize arrays with zeros. So if I want to initialize array with ones now, so let me create one. So with ones, I'll just say np.ones. You can say I have only 1 1 1 1 1 coming up around here. Hope that's cool. Good evening. How the program just closing. I'm new here. All right. Welcome, Ebenezer. Hello. Any question up to this moment? Hello. All right. So I guess it's high time we call it an evening.
We do.
Welcome.
Following
Yes.
sir.
Okay.
Hi.
All right. So, any questions so far?
Oh, sir.
No question. Okay. So there are a lot of things we can actually perform with our NumPy. There are a whole lot of stuffs we can do with it. So, say for instance, I want to do earlier on. I'm not sure we spoke on range. Okay, so let me teach you range here. Range. So when it comes to range always has the starting point, the stopping point, and it also has a step. Okay, so say for instance, I want to have a range of numbers. Okay, in a list. Let me say I want to have my L equals to range of 10 right now. Let me print L to screen. So now you can see I have what? L is range 10. I have range is what? The default is 0. I mean, the starting point is 0, and then it will stop at 10. I want you to take note of something here. So now I want to say, okay, instead of giving me this range of 0 to 10, I want you to give me as a list of numbers. I would say my L equals to list of my original L, and then I'll tell you to print my L, or just type the L only. Print L. Yeah, I've converted it to a list. So you can see how we are making progress now. We have range of 0 to 10, and we have list of numbers 0 to 9. Can someone tell me what they observed here? Anyone with feedback? Anyone with feedback? Okay, so when we're
So
talking about range,
the
yeah, you
list
can
started
proceed.
from the list actually started from 0, even though you initiated that to start from 1.
Okay,
So I
so
guess it's even indexing from the normal indexing way of starting from. It started counting from 0 to 1. It's now stopped at 9.
all right. So recall I mentioned it. Okay, another person wants to speak. I think someone was trying to make a contribution. Hello. Okay. So I believe we can call it an evening here and we pick up from here. Thank you. Thank you.
Wait,
Thank you.
sorry. Okay, I like pull out now. I came back. So where did you stop, or where was the last exploration done on what area?
We are trying to check out range. So
Okay,
we
cool.
have a range of 10 and we said, okay, we printed it to screen. It says range 10 points is 0 and then it stops at 10. So we said, all right, we do not want it as a tuple here. We want it as a list of numbers. So it gave us 0 down to 9. So this is what we were trying to wrap around. So I believe we can call it an evening here and push up from here in the next class. I hope that's cool with
Wait, I
everyone.
kind of have a question.
Okay, since you said you just pulled back in, what's the question?
Okay. So it's on functions.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So I wasn't around though, so I'd like to ask, what is the purpose of a return statement?
All right. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, if you are working with Python scripts, you do not need to print to screen because at that particular time, each and every function is just doing their work. You get me now? So, but here in Jupyter Notebook, because you want to see the result, that is why we are using print to screen. So when you're saying return right now, that means the block of code, I mean, the result is what you want it to return. So let me go back to the function axis now. All right. So here right now, I said, oh, I have a multiplication function for C and D. Okay, then I'll tell it that, okay, my value here, C and D here is this. Then you return the value, which is this. So because I do not want to print it to screen, that's why I'm saying return value. So if I should call this right now and say, okay, return value, and I say multiply underscore num, let's say 7,8, and I run this now. Can you see it gave me what? 56. Okay, now let me create the other one for you now. So this one now, I'm telling it print. So this still gave back what? 56. Yeah, but when you are working with scripts, so it's in scripting that you get to enjoy the benefit of this return statement. But yeah, we are still working with Jupyter Notebook, so it's just like you printing to screen. So, but for scripts, everything will just be running in the background. So far, you've done your homework very well. Okay. Any other question? I believe, like someone said earlier, a lot of diminishing return has taken place. Hope we enjoyed ourselves this evening. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah, thank you for the class.
All right. Thank you very much, Adeyemi Peter. Okay. It's a pleasure to have you all on board. Stay updated on the group chat and have a great evening.
Shall we the class we shared?
Okay. And that will be communicated to us by the program managers. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. Thank you very much and welcome. It's nice having you. A big thank you to our sponsors, IHS Nigeria, the implementers, OVL Foundation, and Kratos Sustainability Consult. Signing out, Abayomi Okonola from NACE IT4 Labs. Have a great weekend, guys.